Hey guys, Major here. What's this game again? Battlefield 4? 3? No, 4. Yeah, sorry. I'm getting that mixed up because I haven't played this game in ages and I haven't made a video on it in ages, but hey ho, here we go. That rhymed, it wasn't meant to. Anyway, night map time. So as you might have guessed, today we're going to be looking at the night map and the summer patch that recently came out for Battlefield 4. Now I'm going to be honest, I've known that this map was coming for a while because it's been in the CTE for a very long time now, but I was skeptical at first. I thought it was just going to be dying from every direction, it wasn't going to be fun, everybody would just use the IRNV and the FLIR scope and it would just descend into absolute chaos. But since then, and since I've had time to test it out, I've come around to respecting the ways of the dark side, pun intended. And I can happily say that DICE, you did good. You did good. So finally, we have a proper night map, and I mean a proper night map. Not any of this slightly blue tinted moon stuff we had back in BF3, I mean pitch black in places it should be, in the middle of some Russian woods. This map feels authentic as a night map, and DICE have outdone themselves on this front. You can hear crickets off in the distance, the floodlights offer realistic lighting to illuminate certain areas, and they can be shot out by the way if you need to take them out for whatever reason, and it's actually really dark, especially in the tunnel beneath the factory. You can see bugger all down there without a flashlight. By the way, just be careful for claymores hiding down there. If I had £1 for every time I was killed by a claymore hiding in the dark on this map, I would have enough to buy Hardline and still have enough to not feel guilty about buying it. The way I describe this map is that it's very rewarding to the experienced player and the careful / tactical player. And I say that because if you are familiar with Zavod 311 and you know the spots and the routes to different objectives and you can play this map well, you are going to have a massive advantage over everybody else who doesn't know the map as well, because you can predict where they're going to be and they have got no idea where you're going to be coming from, because you can't really see people until you are like fairly close. It's not quite as drastic as being in a snowstorm or a sandstorm like we have on some of the other maps, but there is a definite reduction in visibility and that just makes it that little bit harder to see people. And when it comes to firefights that a millisecond can make a difference, having the advantage of knowing where people are likely to be can be all the difference. You have to be tactical with your gadgets too, because when you equip a laser sight or a flashlight, it's even more important that you know when to turn off and on the flashlight. Because if you just run around the map where it's dark with a flashlight on, you stick out like a sore thumb. But if you turn it on when you're engaged in a firefight, there is the possibility that your opponent might be using the IRNV or the FLIR scope, and if so, they're not going to be able to pinpoint where you are in their scope, which of course gives you a massive advantage. You can see examples in the gameplay that you're watching right now of me sticking to the shadows, listening for footsteps, and surprising people when they run around the corner, because I can just bust out and go, "Surprise, motherfucker!" because they've got no idea where I am, and they can't see me because I'm hiding in the dark. So if you can be careful and know the spots to hide in, this map can be very rewarding for you. So not only does this map encourage being tactical, but it also makes a lot of the gadgets in the game actually useful. I'm talking the IRNV and the FLIR scope mainly. They are way more useful now and make it so much easier to see people in the dark, and yet they're not overpowered as hell as I thought they would be, because they have their fair share of counters. Anybody using a laser sight or a flashlight is going to make it impossible for anybody using a night vision scope to pinpoint their exact location, and considering that there aren't many other attachments that are actually useful in the game, there's a lot of people who are just going to be using the laser and the flashlight. In terms of how this map plays out, it is very much like Zavod 311 as you would expect. I mean, it's just a night version of the same map, there's no major changes in that sense, but it just adds another aspect that makes it fun because it's unique within Battlefield 4. There isn't really anything else like this in Battlefield 4. We have Operation Dawnbreaker, but that's not a proper night map, that's sort of slightly dim. And I guess that's also going to be the downfall of this map, because whilst it's a fantastic map for all the reasons I've mentioned before in this video, I played this map for a good 2 to 3 hours in total, and I kind of already feel slightly bored of it. Maybe that's just me, I might have burned myself out on it, or I might just have a really small attention span, but that was the general gist that I got after playing this map for a number of hours. There are going to be other night maps coming, namely the Siege of Shanghai one and the Golmud Railway one. They're supposed to be coming later on this year. Hopefully they hold up to the same standard as what this one is, but again, until they come, I just can't see this one sticking around in server queues for that much longer, apart from the really hardcore Battlefield servers. That's something else I'm going to add on here, is that when you play this map, make sure you find a decent server. If you get in a server that's just got fast vehicle respawn, this map is frustrating as hell. I'm fine with having vehicles in Conquest, and that's normal and fine, but when a server has fast vehicle respawn, you're just constantly having to deal with LAVs and tanks, and they can come up behind you because whilst you can hear them perfectly fine, because the visibility is so reduced, it makes it so much more difficult to see them, and it just makes it that much more annoying when one rolls up behind you and kills you because you can't see it. It is really frustrating. So if you can play this map, try and find a server that doesn't have any stupid rules like fast vehicle respawn, and that pretty much goes for any game of Battlefield you want to play, not just the night map. What was also coupled with this map was the summer patch, which brought a large amount of changes and tweaks to the vanilla game as well. The full patch notes will be in the description, but here are a few highlights that caught my eye. All servers now have a team balancer feature turned on by default, so hopefully there should be pretty balanced teams, and whilst my playtime was somewhat brief with the summer patch, this does seem to be the case. It does seem to have worked, because a lot of the games I've had have been won or lost within 100 tickets or so, so it does seem like the teams are a lot more balanced now than what they were previously. There's also been some tweaks to the movement speeds as well as some changes to the guns, pretty standard stuff, but the one that caught my eye most of all was the changes to the flashbangs. As we know, flashes have been a problem in Battlefield 4 for a number of months now, but the pain is now over and they've finally been nerfed. You can now only carry 2 rather than 3 flashbangs to reduce the spam. The effective angle is now 145 degrees, so you shouldn't be flashed by them at such extreme angles anymore. And you return to seeing normally much quicker than you did beforehand without any of the weird screen effect suppression stuff that we had going on beforehand. I've got an example here in this clip that I think really demonstrates it pretty well. I got hit on, like straight on with this flashbang, and yes, it completely blinded me for a number of seconds, but then after that number of seconds was up, it returned straight to normal and I was back in the game. Overall, I think it's a great patch. There's no glaring issues that I can see as of yet, and I think Battlefield 4 really hasn't been any better than it is right now in all of its lifetime. It's really quite a good time actually to jump into Battlefield 4 and give it another go, either if it's your first time playing it or if you're picking it up again after a number of months. And that's everything I have to say on the matter. That has been my first Battlefield 4 video in a very long while, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, share this if you feel like it, and follow me over on Twitter @MajorMeteor for more of me. I will catch you in the next one.